The Jim and Terry Show, feeling the hostility of wars everywhere and letting it reverberate and ask the question, can we make sense of it? And does it come down to who is running your country, who is running your political system, who is running your, dare we say it? Because it's being contentious in the UK, it's contentious in the US. I think it's contentious here because people are saying reduce immigration, control immigration. Is that a policy that is rational or reasonable, or is it a knee-jerk reaction to global events?
Maybe all of it. I mean, for Pete's sakes, I remember back when Pierre Elliott Trudeau opened the doors to certain groups of people.
Multiculturalism in the 1970s.
And the argument back then is they're just going to bring all their problems here. And lo and behold, it seems that a lot of that has taken place.
Can you name a specific group with a specific problem?
I'm not going to go down.
Okay, well,
I'll name groups that I don't think are, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The Chinese seem to be fine here. They gather, and I have no problem with gathering with your own and everything, but they don't seem to be bringing the problems of China here, or the Japanese don't bring the problems here.
And when you say Chinese immigrants, you're probably speaking of immigration from Hong Kong before it was taken over by communist
Maybe. Well,
China.
then take immigration from the Philippines, okay? They have their own problems in the Philippines with government and everything, but they don't seem to bring it here. It seems to stay there. And
I'll give you an example of problems that came back in my days of teaching as an inner city teacher of first generation immigrants. Vietnamese boat people, the gangs of Vietnam. We called them Vietnamese triads. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, how about this one? I was going to use the word tigers, Tamil tigers. Also gang-related, violent-based Tamil. So that's two groups. Now I'm looking at the Sikh separatism from India, the assassination that just took place of, I guess...
So you're saying the latest wave could fade away like they did?
Not fade away. I think they were dealt with both by policing and by community. So it takes time for some of these things.
It does, and after you said that, I do remember that. And so you're probably right. I'm just seeing a more peaceful world now with this wave of peoples.
Well, let's go back to your first claim, which was that there is a danger that immigrants from volatile hotspots in the world, and they may be refugees, not immigrants, not legal. They may be people seeking asylum. So there are all kinds of reasons people come to a different country. So I need to consider that. And then coming from hotspots, which means as we talk about Palestinian Arabs being taught to hate Jews, what teaching, we don't know what people were being taught.
Yeah, there was just recently, I think just last night, there was a firebombing of a Israeli store with full containers of gas on the roof, meant to really eliminate this. But you made a good point when I was mentioning that before the show, when you said, look, without video, it just could be some group wanting to cause trouble.
Strife.
And that's what I think is happening in the Middle East at the same time. There are those who are piggybacking on this and going, like that bombing in Iran. I don't think it was the United States, and totally was not the style of Israel at all.
A missile strike would be the style of the U.S. or Israel.
That's right. And this was a car with a briefcase and a bomb in it.
Old school.
What's that?
Old school.
Old school. So
not high tech.
The United States is thinking it's one of the terrorist groups operating outside. Like there's separatist groups and everything in Iran.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense to me. But why did they do it? Why now? Well, because everybody's going to blame Israel, especially right after Israel bombed the hideout of one of Hamas's in Lebanon. And so that just followed right on. It was next day or whatever it was, and bang. And now there's a third, which I don't think you heard of yet, that happened in Iran, and it was a strike. I think it was
missile strike.
United States or Israel to take out one of the top figures in terrorism.
Okay, so the question was, the knee-jerk reaction is a lot of claims that immigration is broken in the United States, UK, Germany, Italy, EU as a whole, Canada, that immigration is broken. We're taking in way too many people from way too many hotspots in the world, and we will reap the rewards of bringing in people who have hatred for others built in.
Yeah. We need, number one, we need people. So we need immigrants. Unless Canadians are going to be like the Palestinians and start having babies. It was like that guy said on the thing there. If they're being eliminated, how come they keep increasing in population?
Yeah, the claim was genocide of Palestinians. And the argument against that is, but how do you grow to 2 million? What's the population? What did you start with? Well, how did you get there? Genocide? Doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. But we, as Canadians, need people.
Yes.
We need to bring. Now, I would almost like to see take some of the Mexican border people. They walked a long way. They fought a hard fight. I think if you gave them half a chance, they could really become good citizens of a nation that needs people.
Could you not use that same argument about wanting liberty so much, wanting to get out of someplace so much, for the people who came from Libya, crossed the sea and were picked up by the Italian Navy and Coast Guard?
Yeah.
Could you not make that argument for them, willing to risk their lives
I
at
think
sea?
so. I really do think so. And I don't know what happens. I'm not a politician. I'm not there. I can't.
This is the
judge.
Jim and Terry show.
Yeah, we're two guys having a coffee
and we read the
discussing
newspapers
stuff.
and we get the news the same as anybody else. No secret handshakes and special inside knowledge.
Yes.
We're not a congressman investing in stock trading and hearing the inside track. Yeah, we're not doing that. We have no inside track. We have nothing invested in this discussion. It's just asking a question. Are we in for more violence as Canada becomes more and more diverse?
I think so, because the heat, now that the world can communicate so well, and show pictures so much. Well,
you mean just transfer information?
That's what I meant.
I don't think we communicate.
No,
very well
I meant
at all.
transfer information.
Oh, propaganda kind of stuff.
So everybody has access to the same propaganda. Yeah. So now, what has happened in Gaza 60 years ago may not have come in as much as you're hearing. Now you see these images, deliberate images, but images. I'm not saying wrong images. I'm just saying you're seeing them. Yeah. And I know a person confronted me on Sunday about how he had his own view of the atrocities he felt that the Jews were putting on Gaza. And I didn't argue, because I can just tell when I'm talking to someone, sometimes there's no changing. They've made their mind up. So I didn't. All I pointed out was, because he was a religious man, all I pointed out is, well, I've read the end of the book, and all the nations will come against Israel. He goes, really? It says that?
You read the claims of the book.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to keep correcting that. I just know where you're from.
I'm
I know
just
that.
making sure that claims that are not proven are claims of truth. And reading the end of that book does not mean that's the truth of the end. Just pointing that out.
And I feel it is.
You feel it is, and that's important to say that your
view.
And I'm not discounting your opinion. It may very well come to pass.
Yes. Anyways, so I just pointed that out to a fellow Christian, that I've read the end, and he didn't.
So he's a believer but hasn't read the book.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. There's a lot of things I don't know. Someone might bring it up. I'll go, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't see that there. But he didn't see that in the end, where the nation's Armageddon, quite frankly, is going to happen. So I didn't want to take it down that road, really.
No, whereas I would ask the question that I always ask, where did you come to that conclusion? Or what led you to believe that?
Oh, I just, number one, observances, and number two, belief, faith. I believe in the Word of God.
I understand that, but the fellow who's confronting you.
Oh, how did he get there?
Yes, I would always ask him, what are your sources? can you share some links to whatever you've been viewing?
Yeah, but
or
lunch,
reading?
lunch, Terry. It was lunch. We're on our way to lunch.
I know. There's
I'm
never,
kidding, I'm kidding.
There's never a bad time to ask.
Yeah,
a
I don't
good
know.
Question.
I don't know where he got that information. I'm assuming online. I don't know. I think he's is he Armenian? At Heritage.
Well, that would be interesting because they are the victims of a Turkish genocide.
Yes,
So
and I
that-
think it was the Russians that actually rescued Armenia.
Now that would be interesting. So the world is a topsy-turvy place.
It is,
One-
yeah. So
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
and it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
Well, we let's all remember that Russia fought on our side against Nazism.
Yes, and that's again a question of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah,
So
and-
you work with them until they're not your friend anymore.
Well, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, the world is what it is. Man is what it is. That's why I don't have the fluffy duffy view of the future. I don't see it coming.
Okay, so let's, in the minute or so remaining, let's wrap it up back to the beginning, which is questions on immigration. You began with multiculturalism from Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And some people would say that's part of the F. Trudeau sentiment is way too much immigration, way too
But I was talking
unvetted.
Pierre.
You were talking about Pierre, and I'm bringing it up to date and saying
Yeah.
some would, on the F. Trudeau flag waving type trucker people, would say the same thing about Justin. And so there's some concern about immigration. You and I both agree that the way to grow a country is immigration. Historically, we've always invited immigrants to Canada.
We've
But
also been brutal to some, including the Jews.
remember, we turned away the boat in
Yeah.
World War II,
Yeah.
seeking safe haven
Yeah.
and turned them away. Miami turned them away. The United States turned them away too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you gotta.
Horrible things.
They were not wanted.
Yeah.
They were not wanted. So who are the not wanted people of our generation?
Anybody different?
Or is it specifically Muslims are now not wanted because they are the ones perpetrating? Or is it Jews who are not wanted still? Anti-Semitism is still going on. Or is it anti-Christian? You might find some sentiment saying we need to get rid of faith.
Well, you're going to see that, I think. But I don't know as far as immigration is concerned if that's the case yet. It might be. I'm not in the offices. I don't know what the memo is.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is it
Live
DEI?
in peace, for Pete's sakes. If
Live
someone
in
doesn't
peace.
believe your way, then
Can't you
then
just be friends?
just be Why can't we be
The
friends?
Jim and Terry Show,
Why
signing
can't
off with a
we be
musical
friends?
exit. Bye-bye for now.
This is for Bobby.